Welcome to Something Special Designs by Tina Williams, where I create DIY home decor using mostly thrifted and upcycled items. Sit back and enjoy the video. And if you like it, please give me a thumbs up, comment, and subscribe. And don't forget to hit that notification bell so you'll know when I upload future videos. Hi everybody, this is Tina. Hope everybody's doing well. Project number 1. I have this antique box and it is a mold of some sort. I think it's like some sort of wax or soap or something. Anyway, I bought it at a thrift store for 75% off. So it was, I don't know, $2 or $3. And I am going to be putting some flowers in this. So I have some floral foam and I'm just cutting it to get it to the size that I want. I want it to be about an inch away from the top. And I'm just putting in the extra little pieces there. And there I just took a skewer, and what I do a lot of times on my flowers is I bend them over. I don't cut them, so in case I want to use them for something else later, like a taller vase or whatever. So I'm basically just punching holes in there, and then as I've bent these lavender stems, and I bought those at Joann's. So I'm just taking them and putting them in different positions where I think I'm going to want them. There I found some like little piece of glue or something hanging from there. I must have used it for something else and it had hot glue or something on it. But anyway, the reason I'm making the holes larger is just because the florals, when they're bent, won't go straight in because they're bent over. So anyway, I just put things in according to how I like them. And I just keep going, and then I'll add the greenery in. So now after I've gotten everything the way that I like it, I'm going to go ahead and put some Spanish moss in just to fill it in around the edges. I usually have it pretty full so I don't have that much that I need to put in there. And now what I'm going to do is I want to put a transfer on there. And I'm looking through my transfers and I'm using the traditional pots from IOD, and I find one, I want one for both sides. But first, this mold, whatever it was either soap or wax or something, I went ahead and put a clear sealer on it and let it dry. And then I'm going to do my transfer. And the reason being is you really can't do a transfer over something that's waxed. And I burnish it after I get it on. And then I do the other side. I sealed it before I did the transfer. And this is part of the traditional pots also, but 2 different pieces that I cut. So I'll put that one on too. Probably would have been easier to do it before I put the flowers in, but I didn't decide to do it till later. And then I will seal the transfers on both sides with some clear sealer. And now I have this little bird that I got off of Amazon. And I have some transfers. These transfers are from Redesign, and they're called Lavender Bunch. And my challenge for this video is to use all of the transfers in this little pack. And that is why we have 6 projects. But anyway, all I'm doing is putting transfers on this cute little bird. And in order to get them to work on a curved surface like that, usually you have to kind of cut it in spots. You cut the plastic part. You try not to cut the transfer if you can help it. And I always start in the middle and then go out. But it's really not that difficult if you cut it to mold it to the shape. And I'm basically going to just put transfers all over this little bird. Now, of course, I didn't need to seal it because it is glass or porcelain, so it is basically already sealed. Okay, so now that I've got all the lavender transfers on the bird, I'm going to take 2 skewers that I've cut to the same height, and I'm going to be putting them in the middle of our arrangement. And the reason I'm using 2 is so it doesn't wobble around. And I'm going to put the little bird in the middle as our focal point for this arrangement, and just kind of arrange the flowers around it. See how, make sure it looks good from all angles. And So now we're on to project number 2. These are some tiles, and these are very common. I think you can get them for like 25 cents each. I bought a box a long time ago, and I have those cork coaster backs that I bought at Hobby Lobby a very long time ago. They're little square ones, but you can also get the cork backing that has self-sticking at the dollar store. You can get it at Hobby Lobby, just about anywhere it will sell them. But I'm going to use these little cork backing. You can also use like little round wood discs to do this, but the good thing about the tile is that they're already sealed and waterproof and ready to go. So I'm going to take a lot of the little pieces in this transfer pack, and I'm going to just make some coasters out of them. Because who doesn't like lavender coasters? So basically all I'm going to do is just find pieces that will go on there. Some of them will be, a single piece. Some of them I'll double up. Some of them I'll put on top of each other. And just basically put the transfers on there. So now I have all the transfers done, and what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be going around the sides of the tile, and I'm going to be using some gilding wax, and this is from Dixie Belle. And it is bronze gilding wax. And I'm just going around the sides. I'm using a combination of a paintbrush and my finger. And this is because the edges are just, that rough looking. Because, these are tiles that are meant to go on a wall. And then after I do that, I'm going to be taking the cork backing, and I'm just going to be hot gluing that to the back. Now you can use other glue if you want to. I use Gorilla Hot Glue and I have no issues with things coming off. But anyway, I'm just going to hot glue all of those on. And I'm going to go around the white edge. There's like a, my my cork doesn't go all the way to the edge. So I'm just going to paint that edge with that same gilding wax, just to make it look a little bit more finished. So now I'm going over each tile with some polyacrylic, and I do a total of 3 coats, letting it dry in between. You could use like a resin or something if you wanted them totally waterproof, but I think this is good enough for my purposes. Anyway, I think they turned out really good. So now we're on to project number 3. This is probably the most involved out of all the projects, but it turns out really wonderful, I think. Very different. I have a bowl that I thrifted, and a candlestick, and they're just glass. They're not crystal or anything. And I am going to put the 2 of them together. I've already sprayed them with Rust-Oleum clear matte finish, and I'm putting the 2 together with my Gorilla construction glue, and I'm using a few drops of my Gorilla super glue. I like using both of those together. The super glue takes about 15 seconds to dry, and the construction adhesive takes about an hour, but I usually leave it, longer than that, overnight usually. But for the most part, within an hour, you can do whatever it is that you want to do with it, but it's a strong bond. So I'm putting the 2 together, and I'm taking any extra glue that might squish out, because I tend to use a lot of glue, and I wipe it off, and then I will let that sit for at least an hour before I go on and do anything with it. So now I'm dusting a mold, and this is the new spring IOD mold, and it is VIRIDIS for Adidas, or for, I don't know how to say it. But anyway, we're going to be using that on our little pieces that I glued together. And I'm using Jovi Air Dry Clay. I really like it. I usually use the DOS, but for some reason I haven't been able to get it. I usually get it off of Amazon, and it's been hard to get. So I tried the Jovi, and I think it works really well. I have not tried the IOD, so I really can't say. But anyway, the way I do it is I just push the clay in with my thumbs, basically, and get it in there really good. Sometimes I use a brayer to go over the clay, because I really want to get it flat, and I also want to make sure that it gets all of the impression. And I will just do that, and then usually I take one of my transfer sticks. They work great for this, and I kind of go over the back of it and get the extra clay off. There I am, just using my brayer, and now I'm using a transfer stick, and I will just pull the extra clay off, and it also helps flatten it too. And I find the IOD molds so easy to work with. And I love playing with clay. I don't know why, but I mean, I like using the quick drying resin for certain projects, but I just love the act of playing with the clay. It's a lot of fun. And if you haven't tried it, try it. But if you've had trouble with molds before, get the IOD molds. Look how good that comes out. It pops right out, and you can pull those little extra pieces right off. And if you ever have a situation where you can't pull them off or it's kind of too delicate, I just use my scissors and do it. It works just fine. Now I'm going to be casting quite a few pieces. I'm going to have to do about 3 of the larger pieces. They're opposite of each other. And then I'm going to also have to do, actually I think I do a total of 5 of the larger pieces. And then there's a lot of little leaves in there. And I did probably, I don't know, I would say 20 of those. There I am cutting out the extra pieces. I actually don't know how many I'm going to use. So now I'm taking my Gorilla glue, and my 2 pieces that I put together are dried. And I'm going to be putting these pieces on this, I'm calling it a bird bath because that's what it's going to end up looking like when it's done. That's why I picked such a long candlestick and the shape of that bowl. I want it to look like a bird bath. So I'm going to be putting the Gorilla adhesive on these pieces, and they're going to go all the way all over the piece, all over the bottom, all over the top. It's just going to be very, very intricate. So I'm turning it over so that I can get those pieces on fairly easily this way. And I'm just placing them on the bottom portion and making sure that I get all of the pieces stuck down, but not squishing the clay, too much. And I'm just kind of putting I wouldn't say randomly, but just loosely all along the bottom, so it's very kind of flowing. And I don't know, this mold is, I can see so many uses for this. It just really is beautiful. But I'm going to go all the way around the bowl portion of it. And I'm going to go around the candlestick portion, the tall stick, and on the bottom also. So I have a lot of leaves to put on there. And this project did take a little while, because after I did all that, there were still several other steps, but I think it turned out, really different and something that would look good in a lot of different decor. So I basically used, I think, 5 of the bigger pieces. It took 3 to go around this portion, and I kind of just weaved them in it so they were kind of not overlapping but going inside each other. And then I took a lot of the smaller pieces and I filled in other parts of the bowl and the bottom with other pieces. And that's what's so great about all the other pieces that they give you. So I filled it all up, and now I'm going to go over the whole thing. The castings are still wet, but they're dry enough that you can go over them. And I'm using a fan brush, and I always try and use a soft brush when I do that. And I'm using DIY paint, and I'm using the color Old School. It almost looks black. It's actually a very, very dark gray. I love that. I have to get more of it because I'm almost out. I really love it. And I'm going to go over the whole thing. And after I went over the whole thing, I went over it with a clear coat. and I used a polyacrylic. And now, after the polyacrylic dried, I'm going over the whole thing with my bronze, the Modern Masters bronze. I know you guys probably are getting sick of me doing this, but I absolutely love all of the effects that this stuff gives. You can turn anything into something, I think, high-end. I mean, this was just, I don't even think I paid $1 for the candlestick. And I doubt I paid more than $1 for this bowl. So I'm going to paint the whole thing, and I'm not trying to get perfect coverage because I want some of the black to show through. That's why I did that. And then I'm going to spray it with the blue and the green patina spray. And I will let that set. And I'm making sure that wherever I paint, I spray right away because I'm not doing 2 coats. You're supposed to do 2 coats with this, and it does work with 1 coat, but not nearly as well. And so I know it's not going to get the patina that I want. So after it dries, I feel like it needs more patina. So I am using some Ranger Distressed Oxide, and this is just ink, but I'm going to seal it all in. So I'm going to put some of that on just to give it more patina. And I've done this before on projects, and I put it on, wipe it off. I'm just kind of using it almost like a glaze just to hit certain spots. You can see the top actually had more patina than some of the other areas, and that's because I'm sure the patina spray just sat in there. So I'm going to go over it a little bit, and I actually wipe a lot of it back. But I'm wanting to hit a lot of the high spots on the leaves. So now I'm getting out my Finnabar effect paste. And this also is a patina, and it comes in 3 different colors. It has kind of a copper color, and then a light green, and then more of a turquoise. And I'm going to actually add all 3 of these on here as well. I'm kind of going over with my finger the highlights of the leaves, almost like a gilding wax with the copper color. And then I take the lighter green and the turquoise, and I put those on, and I actually blend those together quite a bit. The lighter green color has like a texture to it, so I put that all around, and it really makes it look very, very realistic. So now what I'm showing you is I bought a candle making kit, and these are these little stickers that I used. You put them on the bottom of the wicks. It came with the wicks. It came with the little popsicle sticks with the holes in it. I had to glue 2 together to fit across. And it also came with this wax and this cute little pot. And I am adding some lavender essential oil. Handcraft. I got that off of Amazon. And then I have some purple dye that I'm putting in there, and I'm going to mix it up. And I melted this downstairs in my kitchen, and I just had it on my little coffee warmer, and it stayed warm for, it stayed melted for over an hour. So anyway, I'm just going to mix all that up, and we are going to make a little candle out of our bird bath. And I just poured in there, and it didn't take but an hour for it to be totally solid. And after it's done, I have 2 little porcelain birds, and I cut the wick, and I have the little birds sitting on top of the little wicks like they're swimming in the bird bath. And I think it turned out really, really cute. So now we're on to project number 4. This is a little kind of gazebo thing that I got at a garage sale, and I honestly only paid $2 for it, but I didn't even realize there was no way to get in it. I ended up taking the top off, which you could do very easily. It was just held in by a few nails to eventually put the candle in it. But it was broken. It had this little top. It has a tin roof, and I glued that on with hot glue. And the little finial came off, and I glued that on. So I had to put that back together, and I didn't take the top off completely until I was done doing all my painting and everything. But I realized that unless I took the top off, you couldn't really fit anything in there of consequence. So it was kind of, I don't know. I think it should have been made where the top came off. So I don't know. I guess they expected, maybe it's a bird feeder. Maybe you put bird food in it or something and the birds come. But anyway, so I'm painting this with some more of my Modern Masters bronze because the roof is tin. And it actually had kind of more like a rusted look to it, but I kind of want this to match my vignette. So I'm going to use this, and I'm going to make it, match more of what we already did with the little bird bath. So I'm going to spray the patina spray on it. But again, I'm only doing 1 coat, so it's not going to have a lot of patina when you only do 1 coat. You're really supposed to do 1 coat, let it dry, and then put the next coat. And then it does work. It gives it a lot more patina. And the bronze does not patina as much as the copper. I will say that. So I'm going to do the same bronze on the bottom. And again, I'm not worried about perfect coverage because this is basically just to add some patina to it. So I'm letting that dry and the special effects work. And now I have a candle. This is just a battery operated candle. And here's some more of our transfers. Remember, my goal is to use this entire pack, all 3 sheets. And I will tell you that I have put one coat of clear coat polyacrylic on this candle and let it dry completely before I try to put these transfers on, because I'm going to tell you that it does not work very well with trying to put it directly on the wax, because the candle is wax, even though it's, battery operated, it's wax. And it's really hard to do a transfer on wax, if not impossible. So I picked out some transfers, and I'm going to put those on, and I'm going to go over the whole thing because remember, my goal is to use all of these transfers, and I want this candle to look pretty from all angles. So now what I'm doing is I'm using the Finnabar Special Effects on the roof because it really did not patina very much with the spray. So I'm going to go ahead and hit the highlights with this copper color, and again use the two greens and blend those together. I'm going to do that on the top and the bottom. And you know, if you don't have all of these special effects and all this other stuff, I have done rust, I have done these effects, and I've just used plain old paint. You can use green paint, turquoise paint. You can use gold or bronze or copper paint that you get at Walmart and get very, very similar effects, guys. So don't feel like you have to have all this stuff. I have it because I love playing with it, but you can do almost the same thing with very inexpensive paint that you get at Walmart or, online. So just use what you have. So now what I'm doing is I'm just going over, I guess I'm going to call it my gazebo with some paint. And I would say it's a little bit more than dry brushing, but that's kind of what I'm doing. I'm really not trying to get paint all over. The color on there before was it was kind of a whitewash. And I'm using Home Decor Parisian Gray. I love that color. And I'm just kind of dry brushing over the whole thing. I'm not doing the inside. I'm just kind of going over the outside. So you can see it's really kind of muted. And I wanted it to have a little bit more color. And I didn't want to do white. So I thought the gray would work really well for that. And I don't think I show you, but I do very lightly dry brush over it with some of the old school, that dark color that I used before. Just to kind of dingy it up a little bit. So now we're on to project number 5. I hope you're still with me. These last two are very easy. This is a wreath that I bought at Joann's. I had a 50% off coupon and then they took 20%. And the lavender I'm showing you I got from the Dollar Tree a couple of years ago actually. It's not my favorite. Their new lavender is a lot better. But I'm cutting these stems off and I'm going to be I'm just poking them in this wreath. It's kind of a grapevine wispy wreath where all of the floral goes in one direction. And I'm going to do that all over this wreath, just different colors, filling it in with lavender, just going in the same direction as the leaves are. And I have 2 different colors of lavender I'm putting in there. It's a great way to use your stems that are not, your favorite. I think in wreaths, it really works well. You could glue these in if you want to put them in or wire them. I'm just going to tuck them in, but if you want it to be permanent, definitely glue it in. You can undo hot glue, but it's kind of hard. If you want to make sure they don't come out, you could wire it in. I don't do that in this. I feel like everything's going to stay pretty well. Then what I'm doing is I have this shelf. This is a hanging shelf that I bought from the Dollar Tree for $1.25. And what I showed you there is I have some Dixie Belle paint that's called Secret Path. I love this color. It is a very, very beautiful lavender color. And I am going to paint this little shelf with this, just one coat of this paint will cover. And I'm going to go over it also with some polyacrylic. And I'm going to let that dry completely. And after it's dry, I am going to put one of our last 2 pieces of transfer left on. And this is just a little bunch of lavender off to the side. And now I have a stencil that I bought off of Amazon. And I have some chalk paste by Redesign that I absolutely love. I have Iron Gate. It's not really black. It's a very dark gray. And I like it because it's more muted than black. And I love the paste. I'm using a stencil brush. It is foolproof. I am not the greatest stenciler, and I'm telling you, I love this paste. I offload my brush a little bit each time I dip it in there to get paint to make sure I don't have too much. But because this is a thick paste, it doesn't bleed as much as using just regular chalk paint. So that is why it works exceptionally well. I also like the color. It comes in different colors, but this is all I have. So it's all I've used. And see, look, voila. It works every time. So now after it's dry, I'm going to go over the whole thing with some polyacrylic. And then I'm going to wire this into the wreath. And the cool thing about these little shelves is they have 4 holes already drilled in them. So I am just taking some wire that I have. You can use floral wire. I have this spool of rusty wire that I bought that I use a lot because I think it just looks good. And now I have some ribbon that I had from the Dollar Tree. Both of them are from the Dollar Tree. The burlap and the gingham, and I'm just making a little bow with this to go at the bottom of the wreath. You definitely don't have to do that. And I just looped it, I believe 3 times, and I'm taking my same wire and I'm just going to go ahead and tighten that up to kind of poof out my bow. And I made the wire long enough that I can wire that right into the wreath. And I also cut those long pieces that you see of the gingham. I cut that so they just hang. I don't leave them loopy because I don't like how they look. But I just wire this into the bottom. Pretty easy. Not too tough to do this. And kind of poof it out. And I ended up not liking the gingham, so I kind of cut the ends. And then I put a couple sprigs of the 2 different colors of lavender. I tucked them in there just at the front of the bow, just to kind of give it a little oomph. And you can work on it and get it the way you want it. So we're on to the last project, number 6. And this is a frame that I bought off of Temu. You could use any frame that you have. You can paint a frame, anything that you may have on hand. So I'm going to clean this frame, the glass in it, and the back does not come off. I am going to go around this frame. It's an odd shape with my finger just to get an impression. And I have a piece of vintage music paper. You could use anything you have, scrapbook paper, any paper that you have. You could tea dye some paper. And I'm going to be taking the very last piece of transfer that we had in this pack. So I've accomplished what I wanted to, and I am going to transfer it onto that music paper. And then I'm going to use my IOD apothecary labels. And I'm taking one of the labels and I am going to be stamping it with some permanent archival ink, black. And I am going to be stamping a piece of drop cloth. Now, whenever you're going to use drop cloth or any material, you want to make sure that you ink your stamp well, because it takes more ink and you need to hold down your stamp for a longer period of time. And now what I'm going to do is I am going to put the French word for lavender on there, and I pulled that one letter off because it was a letter R. I used it just as a placeholder because there's only one A. And I'm going to go ahead and stamp this and make sure that everything is level. I think one of the stamps fell off. I had to redo it. So I think it was the A actually. Make sure I get the ink off of anywhere it's not supposed to be and get it on there. And I think I stand here because I can't really see unless I put my head over the camera, So anyway, I just stamp it in the middle of where the label is. I love this. This is a great kit to have. I've used it so many times already. And again, I do junk journaling, so this is going to come in really handy. So now I have to put the other A in there. And so I move the A to the position I need it, and I stamp all of the letters again, but then I wipe off all the other letters but the letter A, and then I just line up my stamp again. And so the only thing that's going to stamp is the A, and there you go. So I guess it's lavender, how you say it in French. So I'm going to cut all the way around this drop cloth. I'm not cutting out the label. I'm leaving it basically just, making a rectangle. And I'm going to fray the edges of this. And I am just going to glue that on our little music sheet with the lavender with some glue stick, and I'm going to pop it in the frame, and that's it. That is everything, guys. Well, thank you for watching and hanging out with me. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please give me a thumbs up if you did. Like, subscribe, It helps my new little channel out. It lets YouTube know that you like my content. It lets me know what you like, and it lets me know if I need to continue making videos. Y'all take care.